I wish you all could see me at the end of that, because every time it's like, what, bang. Hey! Who has a complete party? Please throw in the chat if you have ever jammed to a theme song before. I understand that mine is just like background music to a countdown, but there are some theme songs that I have jammed to. As a matter of fact, let's just take a moment here and reminisce and give some respects to Betty White, who she lived for so long. She was our forever golden girl. Thank her for being a friend, as well as her 3 other friends. But let me tell you, and God bless the dude who just did the remix. Travel down the road and oh, I jam to a theme song and I jam to my own. Like that background music gets me going every week. Hey, okay, hey. For all of you all like, crazy lady, who are you and why are you so excited at 9:00 at night? One, because my kids go to sleep at night. They go to sleep at night. Hey, if you're a parent and you're excited every time your kids go to sleep, especially if you got little kids and they still in the house, or they little, like, and they found their own voice and attitude. Woo! When they go to sleep, they're so beautiful. As a matter of fact, it inspired me to write an entire book called While You Are Sleeping. Oh, I love looking at my babies while they sleep. One, because they're so angelic and sweet. 2, it gets me time to just enjoy the silence. If you enjoy silence, raise your hand. Hey. But all of that to say, welcome to Leadership Live 2022 with Dr. Renita and friends. I'm Dr. Renita. Yes, I am. And what is Leadership Live? It's a sharing of journeys. Back in 2019, I did it by myself. In 2021, I had 55 different guests in 49 weeks. We had an incredible time sharing journeys, sharing stories, sharing lessons learned. And here we are in 2022. And I know y'all like, well, you've had so many episodes. What else do you have? Well, I got something for you. In 2022, we're doing things a little bit different. In 2022, we are going to talk about 12 subjects. Just 12. And with those 12 subjects, we're going to take a deep dive into them. We're going to work those things out. And here in the month of January, we're talking about finance, because good leaders take care of good finances. Hello, whether it's at home or in their business, in their organizations, whatever they do, they help to make sure the financials are right, because that helps you to be able to do and have the freedom to do the different things you want to do in life. And whatever area of leadership, could be business, it could be life, it could be community or whatever. It will help you. So we get our finances right. And if we do it in January, honey, it's something about the new year that gets you with some new money and get you with a new mind and get you doing new things. So that's what we're doing here in January. But we're going to do a different subject every month. Well, and who am I? I am Dr. Renita L. Webb. I am a educational leadership strategist. And all that means is that I love to work with growing and aspiring leaders to become more authentic in their leadership, to empower their followership, and at the end of the day, have a greater impact on the entire world. When you touch one, when you change one, you are starting a ripple effect. And that ripple effect can affect the entire universe. So just know that your leadership matters no matter where you lead, even if you're simply starting with the leadership of yourself. I am also an author. I already told you about While You Were Sleeping. Yeah, I wrote a whole book about it. Like, look, it's a real book. It's a book. It's a whole book. I wrote a whole book about it. But I'm also the authoress of Stepmom, Trials, Tribulations, and Triumphs. And this is my real life story. It is nonfiction, honey. And I'm a wife and a mother of 4, not 8, 4. I birthed 2 and I own 2. And let me tell you, that blended family journey is a journey. And actually, during this year, whether it be on Leadership Live or just on some of the other things that I do with you, we'll be talking about that blended family life. I know it's not just me, and we're going to talk about it. It's a good subject to get down and dirty with. But I am also the founder of The Refining Life, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to provide you with experiences to have your mindset shifted so that you can lead a more positive and productive life. And let me tell you, The Refining Life has plans for this year. The ball is rolling. We have a wonderful new president. I'm still the founder, like I'm still here. But we have some founding board members. We have some other board members. And we are going to rock your socks this year with the ways that we provide you with those experiences. So we're so excited about it. I'm also a coach. One-on-one coaching is what I do mainly with my leadership clients. I love it. We have a ball. We giggle. We laugh. We cry. we get the things done. My clients are phenomenal. And maybe you could be one of them as I'm still accepting clients right now. I will not overload because I believe in giving quality over having quantity, right? Bye. I'm also a mentor, mentee, a veteran educator, having served grades kindergarten through college, and I'm a queen and a queen. I'm a queen because I am. Hello. Ha, I'm a queen. But I am also the current writing Mrs. Black North Carolina, which will end in March as they are having their next pageant. Finally, we haven't had a pageant since 20. I got crowned in 2019. 2020, we got wrecked. We tried 2021. Yeah, here we are, 2022. It's going down. And so a new Ms. and Miss Black North Carolina will be crowned. My title will be retired, and we will do all the things. But I love the Queendom life, and I'm so excited about sharing with you tonight in Leadership Live. So tonight, Financial Guru, she's back for week 3. If you missed the first 2 weeks, go catch them. They're on the replay. Go catch them and put in hashtag replay when you see them. But tonight, she's coming back again. And she has something great for us. And I think this is a topic that a lot of us can relate to. Here she is, financial expert, Yolanda Mukombe. Hey,
Hey,
hey.
hey.
Welcome back, Yolanda. I'm so excited to have you with us for week 3 of our finance month here on Leadership Live 2022.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be back. Like Dr. Renita said, I am Yolanda Mukombe. I am a financial consultant, financial coach, and financial expert. Oh my gosh. It's crazy to say this, but I've been in financial industry as a financial professional for over 10 years. And I am so excited to be here tonight. I am a mom, a wife. I own my own consulting firm called YGM Consulting LLC. And what we do is help people to navigate financial transitions, learn how to establish financial security, and really be able to fully live and enjoy the life that they want to with healthy financial habits. I'm so excited to be here tonight. And thank you all so much for tuning in for week 3.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are ready to get in because just so you all know, for you, those of you all who've watched Leadership Live over the years in 2019 and 2021, like the broadcast was like an hour. We, got down and dirty for an hour. Like we were in. But here in 2022, we're breaking things up into bite-sized chunks because the goal is that every month you will take that subject area, that area of leadership, and you will deep dive into your own life with it. So you have a whole month to chew on it. So we're going to give you bite-sized chunks, not like little tiny like the little squares that you eat it and you need 3 more. No, we're gonna give you the rectangle because then normally you eat the rectangle, you don't need another one, which is usually 2 squares. Like I'm talking math this month because we're on finances. So 2 squares is usually equal to 1 rectangle. But if you eat just the squares and you need 3 rectangle, you only need 2 because we talk about physical habits too. We got to do better here in 2022. But we're going to give you those pieces so you can really chew on them, do the work, come back and be ready to work again and go to the next level. Yolanda, we have talked about some great things. We've talked about setting up our finances for success. We've talked about creating a savings plan. What are we talking about this week?
This week, we're talking about how to recover from a financial setback.
Ooh. Hold on, because that's what setbacks do to you. Have you leaning back like who? Fat Joe? Lean back.
Yeah,
Lean back. We want to sit up.
we
So
want
how
to,
are we going to
yes. So, this week we're going to talk about how to recover from a financial setback. And the reason I chose to talk about this is because at some point or another in your life, you're going to experience it if you haven't already experienced a financial setback. And financial setbacks, they can be planned for, they can be unexpected, they can lead to what is called financial trauma, which is having anxiety, insecurity, being extremely stressed out about money, and it can wreak havoc on your mental health. And so I want to talk about and have a healthy conversation on how to actually recover from a financial setback.
I love your use of the term financial trauma. We oftentimes think about traumas and we think about physical traumas, we think about mental traumas, but we don't ever particularly not that I've ever heard, not before working with you, um, heard about financial traumas.
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
huge.
Yeah.
It takes, I think, to a new space in your mindset when you think about it being a traumatic experience.
And, a lot of people don't actually know what financial trauma is, and they don't know that it has a name. They just know that they have an uncomfortable relationship with money. They don't have a good relationship with money, and that's about the extent. And so it's not easy to break the habits that force you into survival mode and autopilot when you go into when you have a financially traumatic situation. And so I will start with step one, which is acknowledging your situation. And if you actually can, like, if I'm talking it to you right now and these things are like, I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel what she's saying. Like I've stressed about money, and I might actually be on paper financially secure, but something in me just still freaks out about money. That's financial trauma. And the reason you may have financial trauma is because you might have overwhelming student loan debt and you
Oh,
rejoice.
oh wait, why is she coming for me today?
Oops.
Oh, my goodness.
Did I do that?
I'm talking to the person back here. PhDs are not free. What? There was not a job that existed that could pay them back the way they need to be paid. Okay, we friends again. I had to let that out.
I love you. Um, but no, a lot of people right now have overwhelming student loan debt that is traumatic. Having to think about paying that money back, having to think about how these student loan companies make it extremely confusing to even get on student loan payment plans. And, there some places aren't willing to work with you when you're trying to figure out how to pay back. A lot of student loan payments right now are higher than people's mortgages. And so that can create financial trauma. Another thing that can create financial trauma is a decrease in income, having overwhelming medical expenses, a financial shift such as getting married and having to learn how to combine finances, getting a divorce, having to break up finances, having children, and not
Whew,
knowing the complexities that go into how much children actually cost,
right,
outside of just giving birth. You get that bill from the hospital, that's just the beginning.
right,
And so, having children can be financially traumatic. Losing a job, making more money than you've ever made in your life, that can be financially traumatic.
right,
So
right.
financial trauma doesn't always have to be a negative situation, but it can produce negative feelings. And so the first thing you need to do is acknowledge your situation. And if I am preaching to you, literally, throw a thumbs up, a hand clap, something in the comments, because a lot of times when I talk to people, I did a whole financial trauma security, a whole financial trauma series in 2021 last year. And I talked to many different women and I interviewed many different women. And oftentimes, what they told me was, I had no idea that this even existed. I just knew that there was something in my spirit that didn't sit right with me. And I'm anxious about money and I don't understand. If you're anxious about money, you're going through financial trauma. So we are trying to get you from out of that. So the first thing you got to do is acknowledge your situation. Okay. The second thing is be honest with yourself about your habits, okay? Be honest with yourself about your habits. And this is important because oftentimes when we go through a financially traumatic situation, even if we, in our minds or on paper, recover from that situation, our habits don't change to reflect that we have moved out of a financial setback. So, for instance, if you lost a job and you had to pinch pennies and literally like rob Peter to pay Paul, and you had to pinch pennies and you had to get creative with how you were going to pay your bills, and you still do that even though you have a job that provides what you need to be able to make your ends meet, then you have to assess what habits you're doing and then like learn new habits to get out of that, because the relationship you should have with your money should create a level of security for you. There's no need for you to go to work every day to be financially insecure. That's not why you go to work every day. You go to work so that you can make a living. Then hopefully you learn how to live off the fruits of your labor so that you can take your family on a vacation or take yourself on a vacation. So you can do simple things like go and handle your self-care, get a massage, get your nails done, keep your hair done, whatever it is that makes you feel good. Financial security brings that to you. But like if you going through a situation where you had to cut back from all of that and you're used to pinching pennies and you still clipping coupons when you don't necessarily have to be clipping coupons right now, those are the habits that I'm referring to, because those habits may have gotten you through that survival mode, but you may not need that in this season. You may not need that in this stage of your life. And recovering from a setback also looks like creating a plan. And plan is acronym. I love acronyms. And plan is position, liabilities, assets, and net worth. And that's knowing all of those different aspects of your finances. And so what that looks like is knowing your position. Do you make your ends meet right now? If not, do you need to increase your income? Do you need to decrease your expenses? How do you go about doing that? So that's knowing your position, knowing whether or not you can make your ends meet. And if you can make your ends meet and you have money left over, how can you expedite or make that money grow? How can you put that money to work for you, right?
Well,
And then,
that with that understanding your position, I think is something that it's an idea that you brought up a few weeks ago when we were talking about understanding and spending time with your money,
mm-hmm,
knowing your position. Because I think that some people don't ever spend the time to really understand their position, spend time with their money, or even get to know what is really eating your money, like where you
mm-hmm,
really are spending it and how you could possibly do it better. So, like, depending on your household, like I have a mother who lives is one person she has to take care of, even though excuse me, it's not just her in
bless you.
the house. Thank you. But then there's the five of us in my house, and things look differently. Like for us, it makes sense to really meal plan and cook because one, we're gonna eat everything in one meal. Where if she tried to do that and she cooked a whole bunch of food, she would kill her money because she would be throwing food away.
Mm-hmm,
Sometimes for her, it may actually be physically more responsible to go out and
yeah.
get the thing,
Mm-hmm.
go get the thing because it's just her. But that's her position. It's not ours. For us, it's a party of five going out to eat. There's a bazillion dollars. It costs a bazillion dollars. I don't care where you eat. It costs a bazillion dollars for five people to eat healthfully, at least decently healthfully. But our positions are different. But knowing our positions, we know how to play them.
Yes.
To all my people out there who are sports fanatics, you got to know your playbook. And you got to know your opponent. In this case, I don't want to think of your money as your opponent, but it's the other person you're dealing with. You've got to understand how it works so you know how to work it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The second thing is liability. So you have to know what your liabilities are. And liabilities are the thing that eat at your budget. What are you responsible for every month? What is it that you're having to spend money on to be able to live? Liabilities is anything that you have to spend money on, such as mortgage, rent, especially mortgage, but debt obligations, credit card obligations, those types of things where they take up space in your budget. When if you were able to free yourself of those things, then you would not have to worry about, you could actually like reallocate those funds towards saving, towards going on vacation, towards care, those types of things. So you want to focus on decreasing your liabilities to be able to actually add more money into your budget. And point three, increase your assets. And your assets are the things that appreciate and make more money for you. And when you're looking at your assets and your liabilities, when you subtract the two, so you take your assets, which are the things that appreciate, and then you take your liabilities, which are the things that depreciate or take money away from you, then that equals your net worth. And your net worth is how much you are actually, I hate to use this term, but for the point I'm making, worth today, financially, that is a number that you want to see increasing over your lifestyle, over your lifetime. And if you can increase that net worth number, then even if you can increase it by $1 a day or $10 a day, you are at least moving out of being what's called insolvent, which is if you have more debt than you have assets, right? And a lot of people right now, again, the people who are watching, you might be in different stages of your life, but typically, if you're between that 20 and 35, especially if you have younger children, especially if you are college educated and have student loans, you're going to have a negative net worth because student loan payments or student loan balances take up a lot of that. But if you own a home and have equity in your home, that increases your net worth, right? And so I always push home ownership because equity in a home can, oh my gosh, it can change your whole entire situation if you know how to plan for it and use it to work for your situation, because equity in your home, that's yours. Like, as you are making your, if you have a mortgage and you're making your payments and you're paying down on that mortgage balance, and as you're paying down on that liability and your house, your asset is increasing, that in between is going to be the equity that you're able to use. And so you can use that equity to pay off debt, you can use that equity to invest, you can use the equity to purchase a car cash, you can use the equity to pay for your children's education. Like, you can use equity for a lot of different things. And I like to say equity and access to credit is what creates and increases your net worth. Because if you can actually have equity and access to credit, then you can make financial moves that will really change your situation. So I know this because the reason we were able to recover from a financial setback is because we had equity in our home. And so when we had an income decrease in 2018 and 2019, we were able to take the equity in our home and pay off all of our debt and got all of our credit card debt that we had created onto incomes, because we no longer had two incomes at the time. And so that's why I talk about equity, because it's so important that you know the value of your financial decisions. And so if you see me talking about home ownership, this is why. Because home ownership provides a lot of opportunity for you to actually have a plan that works in the long term. And the fourth thing, go ahead. Oh,
Wow. But the thing is, a lot of people don't think about home ownership in that way. And
no.
so, because you don't have a financial expert always sitting on your shoulder, right there whispering to you, this house can do XYZ for you. And so all these people who are, like, I don't care about renting. I don't want to have to deal with the yard. It's all kinds of reasons. And some people do have financial situations where they literally cannot purchase a home right now, at least not without further help and guidance,
Right.
because some people would be surprised that they could actually purchase a home with help and guidance. But it's something about having a house. A house, it speaks a lot, it says a lot, and it does a lot. But get with someone who knows, working with a financial expert like Yolanda Mukombe, YGM Consulting LLC.com, can help you to understand what your real situation is when you're having difficulty assessing it for yourself. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees in our own lives, but when somebody else turns the mirror on us, we are able to look. They force us to look. But understanding, your whole plan, your whole plan, every bit of it, then you can, take steps to do something about it or with it.
Yes. And then the last part of it is executing that plan. It's one thing to know what it is and know your plan, but it's another thing to actually execute on that plan. So you should always actively be looking to increase your assets and decrease your liabilities at all times until you don't have any more debt, until your net worth is up there where you want it to be. Because if you don't align your decisions, because we talked about, in week 1, setting up your finances for success, and week 2, creating a savings plan. If you don't actually execute on the plan, right? The knowing your position, increasing your assets, decreasing your liabilities, and increasing your net worth, then what you're going to do is find yourself year after year in the same financial position. Year after year, your net worth should be increasing. Year after year, even if you don't have a home that appreciates, you should be saving. You should be investing. If you have a job that matches a 401k or has a 401k, you should be contributing to that, because your future self, you're planning for your future self. You don't you have to stop thinking so much about what you want today, because typically our wants today, they change, they're fleeting, they're like our feelings. Wants are very feeling related and our feelings and emotions, they're fleeting. So you have to focus on the long term. You have to think about the long term when you are trying to get your finances back on track. Because yeah, like you said, it's so easy to miss the forest for the trees when you have experienced a financial setback and a financial trauma. And oftentimes you don't even know where to start. But let me tell you, if you're willing to get help and acknowledge what your situation is, acknowledge that you've experienced financial trauma, acknowledge that you've experienced a negative financial situation, be honest with what that looks like and the habits that you've created out of that situation,
Right.
and then creating your plan and executing that plan, you can find yourself, moving out of that, and moving into a recovery space versus staying in that survival mode, because survival mode, it can create, this is a whole nother topic for another day. It creates
It is
foolery. It makes you
foolishness.
do things that you really should not be doing, and I mean that's really like neglecting yourself, not taking care of your health, not taking care of your mental health, not sleeping at night, not taking care of those basic needs,
Well,
and
for some
because
people, it's sacrificing their morals. Hello, somebody. So for some folk, you get in the right financial situation, you start thinking about doing stuff you would have never done before. You start looking at street corners, you start looking at poles, you start looking at a whole lot of things that you maybe should not do. You might even look at people who you probably shouldn't even be looking at. But
sugar daddies, listen, sugar
sugar daddies and
mamas,
sugar
stay
mamas,
away, stay
stay
over.
away.
Let the folks live.
But the thing is, but
But
that's
yeah.
what happens when we're financially strapped. We
Mhm.
start leading our life in ways out of desperation. And you don't
Yes.
ever want to have to lead constantly out of desperation. But
Yes.
there sometimes it's just because you refuse to look in that mirror and figure out where you really are and being honest. And Yolanda's not saying you got to go out and give a sermon on your pitiful financial situation to everybody in the world. She is not saying that you even have to go tell your entire family. Now, if you have a spouse, you probably should tell them. They need to be in on this. You are a partnership. If you have a partner, you need to tell them y'all are a partnership. Because one piece of that partnership, if it's off, it's never going to get right financially. You got to do
Absolutely.
something you actually have to do together. But you tell who you need to tell. If it's just you, then you tell yourself. Write that thing down and be honest. Matter of fact, write the vision that you want. That's the whole thing. A lot of people say, YOLO, you only live once, or tomorrow's not promised, which is right. But the reality is that if you do wake up again, you don't want to jack yourself up the day before because you were so busy thinking that you were. That's
Absolutely.
leadership. It's leadership. Well, homework for this week. Figure out your plan. Figure out your plan. I mean, you got to acknowledge your situation for that. You got to be honest about your habits for that. But get your PLA and your position, your liabilities, your assets, and your net worth. You've got to do that. If you need help, call for help. Phone a friend. Her name is Yolanda Mukombe. YGM YGM Consulting. I want to say Mukumbe after that. ConsultingLLC.com. If you just put it up on the screen, Renita, you won't mess it up. She's just right there. Type. Right? Put it on the screen. I'm telling you all, I feel Tabitha Brown. God bless her. I love Tabitha Brown. But when she talks about production, even though I think she might actually have production now, I still don't have production. But I remember when she was cooking in her kitchen and she always talking about production. Why didn't y'all cut up these vegetables before we started this? Production. Why didn't you put that thing up there when you were supposed to? maybe I too would be blessed like Tabitha Brown. But Yolanda, 3 weeks, you have given us the goods, and you have given us some real hard, great, amazing leading ways to work on our finances. And I am hype about next week, honey. I feel like I've been doing my homework, automating, automating savings pools. Even though I knew to do it
Increasing those
already,
assets.
increasing those assets, decreasing those liabilities. But it's been tough work. But even on some things that I already knew to do, just rejuvenating my thoughts and starting on them anew has been great. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of you all who did not know, honey, I hope y'all should be about sweating from the workout, the financial workout she's been giving us for the past 3 weeks. But next week is coming. Next week is coming. Yolanda will be right back with us again next week. Yolanda, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be right back here for week 4 of our January finance month. Our last week, I can't believe this month is flying by. But our last week with our finance focus with Yolanda Mukombe, even though here's no telling, we may see her again this year, but her main task will be fulfilled next week. So thank you, everybody, for being here. If you're watching on a replay, make sure you let us know you were here. #replay. If you have questions, comments, concerns that didn't get answered here in the live, we'll be here for you. We'll keep checking the comments. Ask your questions. Get in contact with Yolanda if you need me. If need be, if you need some leadership advice or some leadership work, come see me. I got you, and we'll work this thing together. Know that I love you. Thank you so much for being here again for Leadership Live 22 with Dr. Renita and friends. I'll see you next week. And as always, I'm going to encourage you to keep your leadership all the way live.